In this lecture, we are going to talk about dividing complex numbers. We have 3 minus 6i divided by 7 plus 2i. In order to simplify this expression, you need to multiply by the conjugate. And what that is, let me spell out the word conjugate here. So conjugate is going to be the opposite of the bottom number. So the bottom number is 7 plus 2i. So you're going to multiply by the opposite, which is 7 minus 2i. And we're going to multiply that for the numerator and the denominator. Now, as a side note, let's pretend that we have 2 plus 3i on top and negative 3 minus 9i on the bottom. So your conjugate for this one, that negative 3 on the bottom stays the same. It's that middle sign that changes. So that's a side note for this particular question. So let's go back to the one that we're working on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply across on the top. So I need to FOIL like we've done in previous lectures. So 3 times 7 is going to be 21. 3 times negative 2i is negative 6i. Negative 6i times 7 is negative 42i. And then negative 6 times negative 2i is positive 12i squared. Now I need to do the bottom. So I'm going to divide by the bottom. So I have 7 times 7, which is 49. 7 times negative 2i is negative 14i. Then I have 2i times 7, which is positive 14i. And then 2i times negative 2i, which is negative 4i squared. Now I need to simplify everything. So for the top, I realize that I can combine like terms here, and I have an I squared. So on the top, I'm going to have 21 minus 48i plus 12 times negative 1. On the bottom, I'm going to have, again, I can combine like terms. So negative 14i plus 14i. And then I have another I squared. So I have 49. Now, negative 14i plus 14i, that cancels out. So I have minus 4 times negative 1. Now let's simplify this again. I have 21 minus 48i. 12 times negative 1 is negative 12. Then I have 49. Now negative 4 times negative 1 is a positive 4. So now we're on the final stages of simplifying here. I'm going to end up on the top with 21 minus 12. So that's going to be 9 minus 48i on top over 49 plus 4, which is 53, on the bottom. So this is going to be my final answer when I simplify that expression. The one thing to notice, how do I know that I'm simplified? If you look at this first problem, there's an imaginary number on the bottom. Here, I don't have an imaginary number. So you can tell that the numbers are totally simplified when there's no imaginary number on the bottom of the fraction.